There have been so many prophecies flying through the air in recent times. And some of them are very scary. And many of you have drawn my attention to these prophecies. Through email, through Club 99, and I also know many others have not written to me. But they wonder, what is it with all these prophecies? And some of them are just too scary. And meanwhile, some very brave Kenyans, who don't belong to the church, some of them are journalists, have decided to take it upon themselves to clean up the Church of the Almighty. And the idea of cleaning up the Church of the Almighty is through legislation, putting pressure on Parliament to pass new laws, to protect the people against errant pastors who preach the gospel of prosperity and then demand tithe, demand money from their congregants. I know in their hearts they believe they're protecting the people from being conned by so-called men of God. And I'm certain to these people, the prophecies are all rubbish. Now, I've already mentioned in an earlier video that this is something very dangerous for anybody to do. Because the things of God are not things to be taken very casually. They're not things which you can decide with your education, with your PhDs, with your knowledge, and with your experience to try and deal with. The first thing these people should realize is that what is happening currently is actually of God's making. God is cleaning up His house. And the Almighty does not need any help. It is us humans who need help from the Almighty, not the other way around. It can never be the other way around. How do you help God? Judgment starts in the house of the Lord. And instead of being so concerned, so keen, so interested, to look at what is happening in the house of God, my friend, you had better prepare yourself. Because when God is done, sorting out His house, sorting out His temple, you and me are next. Now, of course, I know many people are going to take what I'm saying as nothing. It doesn't mean anything. However, I don't have a problem. Because unlike them, I don't want to help God. God doesn't need my help. All I need to do is just to give them a warning. And it is not a threat. I'm just telling them to be careful. And if they don't listen to me, that's okay. Because I've done my part. I've told them. Anyway, let's come to the prophecies. Now, what I'm going to do in this video is to give you a guideline so that you'll never again be confused. No matter how many prophecies come, you'll never again be confused, and neither will you be misled. And before I do that, there's a very important rule which you must all carefully observe if you don't want to get confused by prophecies. Now, God understands human nature. God created humans. And He created human nature. So He understands human nature very well. You imagine a situation whereby we were to have one person of God, one man of God, or one woman of God, give us all the correct prophecies. They give you one prophecy, correct. It turns out, it actually comes to pass. They give you another, and all of them come to pass. And this is one person. Let's say, for instance, in this channel, I give you prophecy after prophecy after prophecy, and they come to pass, although I'm not a prophet, and I've never claimed to be one. What do you think would happen? People would start worshipping that person. People would fear that person more than they fear Almighty God. Glory and honor would go to that one person. People would start worshipping the messenger and completely forget the one who sent that messenger. So this very important rule, if you're trying to follow prophecy, don't get stuck on one prophet. It is not about the messenger. It is about the person, who sent that messenger. Now, the best way not to get confused is to look for one word of prophecy, and then all you have to do is when every other prophetic word comes out, measure it against that one single anchor, foundational word of prophecy. Now on this channel, you all know the word of prophecy that we're sticking to. You all know our foundational word of prophecy. It is on your screens right now. Overturn, overturn, overturn. Now, let's try and look back a little, and understand why we're sticking to this word. By the way, this word also had a rider. Change shall come to Kenya, but it shall not come to Kenya how Kenyans expect it to come. And it shall not come to Kenya when Kenyans expect it to come. Now, if you look back, you'll realize very quickly that this word has been fulfilled and continues to be fulfilled 100%. We can see overturns everywhere. Now I ask you to be patient because we'll move on very quickly after we've cleared this to what Kenyans should expect next. And that should be interesting. Now it should be obvious that the overturn word is a word of judgment. Judgment from God. And I appreciate that immediately we mention that word, you get into trouble with a lot of people, even people who go to church. Because according to most people, they view God as a kindly grandfather. Kindly old, wise grandfather who loves us very much. And therefore, they cannot begin to associate Almighty with the judgment. How can God judge us? He loves us too much. And indeed it is true, God's love for us is beyond understanding. It's not possible for a human being to understand it. But let me ask you a simple question. As a loving father, as a loving parent, father or mother, will you love your children so much that you will never judge, you will never correct them? Surely, if you don't judge or correct your children, you don't really love them because you're messing up their future. Actually, that word is not strong enough. You're destroying their future. Anyway, now when judgment comes, before judgment, there must be exposure. The murderer must be exposed. And then once they're exposed, they'll be taken before a court of law to be judged, using the evidence that was obtained when they were exposed. Now look what has happened in Kenya. There's so much exposure. Exposure of corruption that has horrified Kenyans. Exposure of deputy governors having affairs, having sex with married women. Captured on video, and that video goes viral on social media. Everybody sees. They see the naked truth, literally. And even things happening in the church are exposed for all to see. And a lot of what has been exposed is extremely shocking. But here is where many have gone wrong. This is not being exposed so that we pass new laws. No way. It is not being exposed. The motive of the one who exposed it in the first place is not so that we can point fingers at the Church of the Almighty. And then we start to generalize. We say these laws should be passed so that the whole church falls into line. Falls into which line? Falls into the line of human law. Human laws of the land. Human government.
A declaration is hereby issued that the presidential election held on 8th August 2017 was not conducted in accordance with the Constitution and the applicable law, rendering the declared results invalid, null, and void. Number 2, a declaration is hereby issued that the third respondent was not validly elected and declared as the president-elect, and that the declaration is invalid, null, and void. Third, an order is hereby issued directing the first respondent to organize and conduct a fresh presidential election in strict conformity with the Constitution and the applicable election laws